L-5 podcast. We are back with another episode. And tonight we decided to do a TV series and watch the first two episodes of a brand new cherry flavor. That's right, the new Netflix show called Brand New Cherry Flavor.
Do you know the name Lou Burke?
He's a producer, wins Oscars and shit.
He wants to meet with me. So you liked my movie?
Truth is, I've been looking to take more chances. Maybe you're the chance I've been looking to take.
And Dana is going to be so graceful in telling us what the synopsis is of Brand New Cherry Flavor.
Alrighty, so straight from Wikipedia, guys. Brand New Cherry Flavor is an American horror drama streaming television limited series created by Nick Anatoska, I may have pronounced that wrong, sorry, and Lenore Zion, and it is based on a novel by the same name. So premise of it says Lisa, who is the main character, comes to LA dead set on directing her first movie, but when she trusts the wrong person and gets stabbed in the back, everything goes sideways and a dream project turns into a nightmare. So I'll go first. So because this is a TV series, we don't do our typical 17 minutes. We actually watch the whole thing. And typically we also watch 2 episodes. So I did say watch 2 episodes. So I just wanted to put that out there. So long story short, I think the reason we chose this movie is obviously because one thing Netflix does and does well is advertising. So they got their marketing out, and I've heard about this movie on blogs and stuff like that. Didn't really know what it was about, and I think that's part of the marketing, to be honest with you. But we all noticed that our pictures for the movie on Netflix would vary and be slightly different. So sometimes you saw a woman who looks like she had a cherry, which was an eyeball in her mouth. Sometimes you may have seen a monster. I think some people saw a ladder or something different. I don't know. But anyway, so there were a whole bunch of different things that were talked about. And one of the biggest things that I heard was there was just something that goes on in this movie that's so horrifyingly gross that people felt like Netflix had just taken it too far. So of course I was like, yeah, I gotta check that out. You know, we've seen a lot of stuff. So when somebody's like, oh, this is like even further than everything you've seen, of course your interest gets a little piqued, unless it's something like, you know, the Centipede movies, not interested in that mess. But anyway, so long story short, I thought this movie was all over the place. So the first part of the series. So the first episode, I felt like we spent at least 45 minutes just learning about the main character and I guess, is he a director, guys, or is he a producer?
No, producer.
Okay. So the producer that she made, all we know is this girl comes into town and has a deal with a producer, a big producer, all of a sudden, and doesn't seem like she's putting in any work to do this. She has created some film in the woods with somebody, and now producer's at her door. People don't know, running. Anyway, and so all of a sudden she's got this producer, things are rolling. He's trying to get her to meet people, things seem good, even though they don't make sense, because we all know in Hollywood, that's not really how things work. And then it happens. He puts his hand on her knee and we're like, yep, okay, so this makes more sense. And so basically first 45 minutes is setting her up as the main character and then making us feel like he is basically the villain at this point. And so this is basically what seems like a revenge movie. And I don't want to go through all the stuff because you're going to watch it or not, but I'm going to just go ahead and put this out here and say that the most horrifying parts of this, I did not find that horrifying. I found maybe gross and weird, but they no more gross and weird than any regular horror movie that you would see. And guys, I don't know whether we want to spoil what it was or not. But I didn't feel like it was anything anybody was going to be just about. Yeah, I didn't like this. Like, it just seemed to be like, I thought, again, there was too many, and we've talked about this before, the convenience thing. I didn't like the main character. I didn't care. So I didn't care that, not that I didn't care stuff was happening to her. Well, yeah, I really didn't, because I just thought she was being stupid. Even though there was this one point, and I told Corey this, that I felt a little bit bad for her. And that's when she's leaving his house and she's out at the car. And after everything he has done to her at this point and said to her, she still has some little bit of hope left in her that maybe, just maybe, he's going to do the right thing. And I thought that was kind of sad because I felt like he had shown his colors enough to her to warrant her just getting in the car and driving out. But she still, before he choked her out, she still had a little bit of hope that maybe things would work out. So I didn't like this show, sorry, at all. I did watch 2 episodes, like I said, and I'll talk more about it, but I wanted to open the floor to other people to talk about before I just went all down a rabbit hole. And so I'm going to kick it to you, Brian, because you are the first person on my right. I know he might be somewhere else on the screen.
Yeah. I love weird movies. I love weird movies. I love David Lynch movies. I'll absorb those. I'll watch them over again and multiple times. This feels like it's trying really hard to go there. And it's just trying way too hard, I think. I think when you were describing reading the Wikipedia description, the last couple of sentences sounded like that happened to this movie. Somebody got a hold of the idea from this book and turned it into a movie, and that they did it badly. Mm-hmm. And maybe the book is better than this, but yeah, no, this is not a great TV horror series. It just isn't. And I don't even think we have to spoil anything. There's not a whole lot. Maybe the warning at the front is about animals being in peril, like drug situations, danger, drama, whatever, and animals in peril. I'm like, what kind of warning is that at the beginning of a movie? And it's and so the very first thing in a horror movie, you always have the jump scares, and it's the cat. And the first scenes, they put a cat in the street, like it's about to get hit by a car. I'm like, what are you trying to do?
They're in peril.
Put an animal. Is that the animal in peril? Come on.
At that point.
Still waiting. I get the idea of tricking out your trying to trip up your audience and show them one thing and give them something else, or having that cat thing. It's like, okay, this is a horror show and we're not going to do the cat jump thing or whatever. Maybe that's what they're trying to tell me, but you know what? No. I watched both of the first episodes and I'm with you. This just did not hit it. It just was not falling on all cylinders. The one thing I liked about the way that this was made was just that there's a sequence where the main character is trying to eat soup and she's hugging this thing of soup like her life depends on it, and that plot point depends on that soup, and she's wandering around tripping all over the place, literally tripping, like drug tripping. And I thought that the way that they handled the camera and her actions were appropriate for telling that kind of story. But it didn't really fit in this, and I didn't like what she was doing and why and all that stuff. So, yeah. So, Jeremy, what'd you think?
I echo. No, I'm just kidding. I also didn't like the film. I personally, the movie. I mean, the TV series. I couldn't even tell what it was at first.
I was like, about a TV show about making a movie, and
I like the Hollywood. Like, I don't want to be the stickler of the person that doesn't like movies about Hollywood. I love those movies. They actually compel me to watch more, and especially because this is a series, I was like, okay, I would love to. But then, like everyone has said before me, like the first, especially 30 minutes, I was like compelled by the slowness of it, like the timeline of why things were going pretty slow. And the main character, she, Lisa's cool, whatever, but I think his name is Lou Burke in the film, who Eric Lange plays, obviously. But for me, I liked his character a little bit more than hers. and I was confused about the like protagonist, antagonist type, like kind of back and forthness, like where are we going with it? What's the significance of these characters? And I was waiting and waiting, and that's one of the things that kind of took me away from it. Is this like, okay, these things are supposed to be significant in the film, but they didn't feel significant. As Dana mentioned, the horror parts really weren't. I was like, am I supposed to feel anything? Like, I kind of laughed. I think in the Discord, you all were saying some things. I was like, this is kind of more humorous than more scare or attack tactic for me that would make me like anticipate something. I wasn't scared at all, and so I was confused as to why this was even named horror. I was like looking at the title as I was watching it, like, what are we watching? The second episode was a tad bit better. I know we haven't got on that one, but the first one really was, I would say, the tempo and the lack, even though the two kind of main characters were cool, the lack of character development between those two was kind of astounding to me, being that they took up a lot of the screen time. So that in itself kind of took me out of it. But again, Hollywood movies about Hollywood and filmmaking, those are cool to me. And sort of like Brian was saying, the weird or abstract movie isn't necessarily bad to me. You as the director just have to captivate me and keep my attention. And just for me, subjectively, it wasn't hot. So I'll defer to Corey.
Well, thank you, Jeremy. Yes, I agree with a lot of things that you guys were saying. This really wasn't for me as well. What I felt like, you feel this early on, at least I did. And, I'll say a couple of things that I don't really think necessarily are spoilers because there's not really a whole lot there, is that in the beginning, when she's meeting the producer, there was enough there for me to grasp that the person, this is a girl who is trying to sell her movie, her short film, to a producer to try and make a major feature out of it. This series felt like it was shot like it was a short film or a student film. And so not only were we getting her with this premise, we were getting that visually as well. And so that was also what was taking it out of me. I was like, this seems cheap to me. It seems very low budget. It wasn't engaging enough for me to continue. And then it's full of like cliches. I felt like I said this to Danny when we were watching it. When the producer touches her knee, I saw that coming like a mile away. She should have seen it coming a mile away. And when it happens, I said to Dana, I said, yep. I said, and go ahead and snort up the rest of the cocaine that's on the top of your lip. Later on, we noticed that he snorted cocaine. And I was like, I wrote this damn thing because it's just full of these cliches from Hollywood and this and the other. And I was just like, it's just really, really blatantly obvious. And then the rest of it is just a little too weird for me to really care about what's happening. The characters aren't developed enough for me to care about them. Other than when Dana was talking about the incident of what was happening with the car, I did feel a little something there, but still not enough for me to continue to watch this movie. And then there's just a lot of abstract things that are going on that I'm just like, why? What? And it just didn't sit right with me. I always have to watch something funny or something cartoonish after that's over because I don't want to have nightmares. So with the segue there, let's pass this on to Stacey.
Okay, because I did have a nightmare, right? While watching it. And it was like a bad nightmare, but it was like, oh gosh, this TV show. So I woke up, it was still going on my tablet. And I was like, yeah, that just came straight into my dreams. I would have to say I didn't like this one either. And once you mentioned about the cinematography of it, it was like, okay, I thought it was maybe a remake of something or something they brought back out because it looked like an old 60s, 70s movie, how it looked and the whole cinematography of it. It looked like it was 70s. And like you said, like a student kind of film thing going on. And I thought maybe I would like it just for the fact that, again, when Dana mentioned about how when Netflix shows the little things, the pictures of it, like the first picture is like the woman with the cherry that was an eyeball. I was like, yeah, I don't think I'm like that. So I didn't think about it. Then it became this monster face. I was like, I might watch that. And then we started talking about it, and it changed again to be her friend, the one whose house she was staying over, or apartment she was staying over. And he's like a liar. I was like, okay, that was the day we started watching it. And I was thinking, okay, this might be okay. Because, she's, driving around in the, backcountry California, and there's some motorcycle that's behind. It's like, oh, I'm in, something's going to happen. And maybe it does later, but I didn't care enough to keep on watching about the motorcycle and see what that's about, because I didn't care. I wasn't feeling for the character at all. I didn't have any kind of sympathy. I can't really say I don't necessarily have any sympathy for her, but because I could see that she wanted to get her film done, but everything I was seeing, it's like you could tell I was coming.
Mm-hmm.
You knew as soon as she met with the guy, I was like, this is gonna be, like I said, Harvey Weinstein her. And I was like, yeah, I don't see anybody in Hollywood just doing something with the goodness of their heart for somebody she has never met, and now he decides to take her under his wing. I was like, yeah, I don't see that happening. So we all expected that. And then when she gets the contract and her friends are looking over, and that one girl who you think, is the bitch, just like, get a lawyer to watch it, get a lawyer to look at it, get a lawyer. I would recommend, as she's cutting her hair, just cut, get a lawyer. And I mean, she was the one that was like, protect yourself when I can't afford one. In this case, you might need to spend the money for that lawyer, because in the end, that's how she was screwed out of everything.
Mm-hmm.
And again, we saw it happening. The only thing that I didn't see happen was the kitten incidents. And I won't mention any more of it, but I didn't see that happen. And again, it wasn't really horror, but kind of just, I don't know, it was just like weird. It wasn't anything like, okay, it was like, it's gonna, and that was the part I had nightmares about or anything. It was just weird, and I thought was kind of funny was when she was in jail and she did that. And the people there was like, she just threw up a kid.
And the cop took it. The cop took it. What did the cop do with that kitten?
And I don't think the woman, the witch.
Yeah, it was one of the
okay.
I think he's the naked guy in the forest.
And see, I thought about going back and check to see. I didn't even want to go back to check to see. I didn't want to go back to an episode to see, was that the guy? Because that was, but I mean, just came up, take the kid and walk off. But just the look on those ladies' faces, I think up to point someone looked like legitimate, versus. But overall, it was a struggle. If it wasn't for the fact that I was already taking a shower, I was in bed watching on my tablet, I wouldn't even make it that far.
Well, let's review your dream instead, Stacy. What was your dream better than the show?
My dream was weirder than the show.
Was it shot better? Did it look like a more modern movie, not 70s?
I don't know, but it was like something coming out of my armpits.
Oh.
I don't know. And
I was like, three.
Episode 3, baby.
It was awful because, and when I woke up again, like I said, when I woke up, I was in episode 3 of the show. When I woke up and I looked at the tab, it was like episode 3. It's like, turn this off, because I just went straight into whatever it was. It was just overall, I just was not impressed with it.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm gonna give I'll say small spoiler warning, and I only say that because I'm not going to talk about 2 of the big things of the show I want to, and because I haven't actually seen the series, I don't know how much of this is truly spoiler or not. But what I wanted to touch on, because Stacey kind of brought this up, is that's kind of what this movie was supposed to be about. That whole thing in Hollywood, nobody does anything for anybody for free. So what we're supposed to see with this movie, and unfortunately, at least in the first 2 episodes, I feel like we were taken so far away from the point of the movie that I don't know how anybody got back to this. But the point is supposed to show Lou was using Lisa. Lisa uses the witch. The witch is actually using Lisa too. And so everybody is using everybody to kind of get what they need. And so, like, who's the villain here? I guess is kind of what it ends up coming down to. And we've seen movies like that. And we've seen movies like that. I'm sure that we would say we're doing very well, where that point was like, looking at this, at first I thought so-and-so, was right. But no, she's just as bad as, the other character. I never even got to that point. Granted, I only saw the first 2 episodes. But like I said, I don't know if I ever would have reached that point because I was too caught up in the visuals and just like the why. Why are we doing this? And I wonder if this is why, because sometimes I feel like some movies do this. They put the movie in a different decade, like the 90s, so we can all pretend that we were a little dumber then. Because there were so many times. So I was like, girl, why would you do that? We would never do that. Like, it would not happen. And so sometimes I think what they do, and I don't know, is just say, okay, this happened a long time ago, before smartphones or before people do. But still, a lot of the stuff she did, like when she pulls up at the witch's house. First of all, I don't know how she knew to come around back because I don't remember the discussion, but maybe I missed it. But I don't know about y'all. I'm not even getting out of the car. Like, I would have drove right on past that house. And then when you go into it, it's a big forest with zombie looking people in it. Why? And I don't know. Again, maybe they explain this. I don't know. I will never find out because I'm not going to watch the rest of the episodes. But I think the concept of what was supposed to be there could have been interesting, but they lost me already.
That's just what the 90s were like. Everybody had way too many houseplants and zombies hung out in your living room. It was awesome.
Even down to another thing that got me, I have to mention this. The pubes. What was that? Like, what about hair from a brush? Why did it have to be penis hair? Somebody please tell me.
Because this is the challenge to get something personal. I mean, it was just regular hair.
It could have been anything. A nose hair would have been personal. Butt cheek skin. It could have been anything
about the dark arts. I don't know.
Well, did you say butt hair, Dana?
A butt cheek skin.
Yeah, I don't know the significance. To answer your question, girl, I was left with the second episode got me twisted more than the first.
It only got worse.
I think that's a better way of saying it. It only got worse.
I also didn't understand. Like, she told everybody she was putting a curse on them, and no one thought much of it. I mean,
yeah.
And
cool.
I don't know, if Dana said, so I'm going to be cursing so-and-so, you'd be like, what? Do be a deeper conversation than, okay, if that's what you're going to do. Exactly. I mean, what kind of environment was that to say, oh yeah, I need his cues to make a curse?
I just don't know what they would do for the next, 6 episodes after this. I mean, they had 8 episodes, and I'm just like, Netflix will just let you do whatever you want.
Sometimes that can be good, right? You can find some gems in there, but in fairness, there are going to have to be some donkeys. I mean, there's just no way around that.
This is one of them donkeys.
Have to be some that are good.
Yeah.
For me, this was one of them.
So we ready to throw ratings?
Yes.
All right.
Sorry. My rating was a 1. And that means this is worse.
Yeah, it is. Yeah.
I think Corey and I were discussing, like, what other movies would we say besides our famous Open Water, the first one, that we think were that bad? But Eurovision, he brought up. And so this, to me, was on par with Eurovision. Obviously not the same genre whatsoever, but in terms of just, like, we didn't even finish Eurovision. It was so awful. So that's kind of high. I'm giving it 1 star.
Same production company, though, Netflix. So look at that. I gave it a 1 also. Totally skippable. I'll forget this, no problem.
Stacy?
Oh, I'll give it a 1. I'm not coming back to watch any of that. I don't care.
Jeremy.
Y'all thought I was gonna give it a 3 or a 2. No. We go with the 1. See, y'all think somebody gonna be the anomaly and throw it off the track? We on 1.
I don't know. I'm looking at Brian.
And we got Brian. Brian, I know we got you coming up, but let me see. This was so bad. I almost typically, as you know, L-5 audience, we watch episode 2, but I almost did not make it to episode 2. It's because my friend said let's watch episode 2, but your boy almost didn't make it. So
We didn't make it mandatory. We just in the group we were saying, okay, we're gonna watch another one. 5 stars across all 5 of us, because I'm also one. Like Dana was saying, just to remind everybody, we do 5-star ratings, and 5 is this is a great movie. I highly recommend it. I'll watch it again. I might even buy it. Right. 4 is I'll watch it again, and yeah, it's a good movie. 3 is I'm glad I watched it. 2 is you could do worse, and 1 is worse. This is worse. So we like giving the worst movies a rating, because if you were looking at lists of movies and there's no rating, you can't really tell that anybody rated it. Mm-hmm. So 1 is worse. Mm-hmm. That's the low of the low. 0, half a star. Some places let you do a half star. Mm-hmm. So that's really bad. But yeah, 1. So
the ratings are like pretty good as well. Yeah, the
are
ratings.
They really?
Yeah, I mean, I saw on Rotten Tomatoes 79 or 80%. Then IMDb made it 7 points. I mean, they were pretty good, and I was just confused as to what we saw versus what people.
I think it's bots. That's why I'm just go ahead and put that on out there. They have bots, and yeah. Have you ever seen a video on TikTok that's just like about carpet growing and it has 1 million views? Bots. That's all I'm saying.
That is crazy. But I hope we save anybody watching this some time.
Exactly.
There's plenty of other things to go and spend your time with.
Yeah. But I mean, come on, we have a consensus here all at once. I mean,
I know.
We're usually all over the spectrum, but tonight we were all on par. So that's got to tell you something, But hey, if you liked Brand New Cherry Flavor, or you thought it was the kittens, if you give it 5 kittens, please put it down in the comments below. Let us know how many kittens you give this series.
And if you actually end up watching the whole series, tell us how many kittens do actually ultimately get barked up through the rest of the series. How many total? Because by our count, we've got 2.
Please do. But I will say one positive thing is just that I do like. Hold on, I gotta make sure I get these names right. I do like
the witch.
Huh?
The witch
and Rosa. Rosa Salazar, who portrayed Alita. And then I also like Catherine Keener, who was also in Get Out. A couple other, yeah. So I do like the actors who are in this series. Okay. So that is one positive. Don't start stirring that cup.
I don't have a spoon up here.
That is one positive, is that I do like the actors in this movie, but I just wish there was better content for them to actually be acting in. So with that being said, if anybody doesn't have anything else, we will bid you guys adieu, and we will see you next time.